Welcome to You Talking to Me. Today we're in the European Parliament for the Commission hearings. We're joined today by Markus Ferber, a German MEP with the European People's Party, and Claude Moraes, a UK MEP with the Socialists and Democrats, and our German colleague Lisa Schollinger from AMS Radio in Germany. We're talking today really about this new process. Lisa, do you have a question to put to our MEPs today?
I prepared some. And my urgent one is, I was wondering, is it really possible that one commissioner could be refused by someone? Are you thinking that's possible?
Well, I've been in the Parliament for 15 years and I did refuse a commissioner. So I've been there. His name was Mr. Bottiglione. He was unacceptable to me and to my colleagues. He was just wrong. So it's happened before. And I think the members of the Parliament know. I think the person you're thinking of is not in my area. My area is Justice and Home Affairs. I'm involved in 5 hearings. I'm chairman of my committee. So this is not, in fact, in my area. I think you're implying somebody who is on the edge, if you like.
Right.
But I've talked to my colleagues, and I think that's as it should be, because these are not cosmetic hearings. These are hearings which should have an outcome. But let's wait and see, because it's a proper democratic, transparent process, and we'll see.
Markus Ferber, I would have said there are more than one candidates for possible rejection or reshuffling. What do you think?
I think I have 20 years experience, it's my 5th hearing now, that every time there was 1 or 2 or even more candidates who have been on the edge, and then it's a question, are those people able to be a commissioner but with the wrong portfolio, or are they unable to be commissioner? So we had cases unable to be commissioner, we had reshuffling as well. So we will, I think, have both, as the composition of the commission and the distribution of portfolios put some questions on the table. And that is something, so I'm in the Econ committee, we have some of those problematic areas. For example, a commissioner who is from an opt-out country of the euro but responsible for banking union, a commissioner who is responsible for stability of the euro but was, as national finance minister, opposing these rules. So we have interesting dossiers as well, where I think those people can be commissioners, but maybe the wrong portfolio.
Is this stitched up already by the 2 big groups in Parliament, Claude?
It's not stitched up. Of course, there's a choreography to it. We mustn't patronise our citizens or even our fellow politicians and NGOs and so on. It's true there's a choreography, it's true there's a structure. It's true that, as Markus said, most of these well-qualified people will get through, let's be honest. But it's not completely stitched up. As we just heard from the first question, there are 1 or 2 commissioners who may in fact fall. It's possible. So it's a very robust process. And I can tell you, as chairman of my committee, when I speak to these commissioners designate, they are very nervous because it's a very tough process. So no, it's not stitched up, but yes, it's true that most of them will get through.
Okay, Markus, what does it take for somebody to fall? What's the threshold for failure here?
Firstly, to be serious, of course we have a political responsibility as well. And if we look outside European Union, we have some threats where we have to give European answers. So only to play games because of games is not serious, and that has to be taken into account as well. On the other hand, the Parliament has only one strong part to play, and that is in these weeks, when all commissioners have to go through the bottleneck of European Parliament. And the other thing which has to be approved as well is this structure with vice presidents, without any administration, the commissioners, these working groups, whether that will fit, as it is not linked to our organization, yes. It's not linked to the work of the council. And if it's functioning, it's okay. If it's not functioning, it will create a nightmare. Okay. And that is something we have to improve as well when we come to our final decision.
Let me ask you, Claude, do you think this new structure is better than the last one?
I'm very unhappy with this new structure. It's a very Machiavellian structure. Vice presidents and then commissioners underneath. My concern is that for the committees where we're corresponding to the people, if you like, the problem is the fragmentation, the correspondence between subject areas. For example, I deal with issues like the safe harbour business data flowing from the EU to the United States, real business issues. Where does that go? Which commissioner is responsible? That's more important to citizens and to business than this kind of vice president role.
I think this is kind of divide and conquer.
It could be, and I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping that what Juncker wanted was vice presidents having responsibility and a benign positive control. But if it becomes passing the buck, if it becomes, each commissioner saying, well, I'm not responsible when the going gets tough, then it's bad.
You think this is going to cause turf wars?
I think there are advantages and disadvantages in this whole structure, and hopefully we get all the advantages and avoid the disadvantages. But there's a great possibility to fail as well, and therefore it has to improve properly and even readjusted according to the results of the hearing, and I hope that Mr. Juncker is flexible enough to deliver that.
Let's hear the question from our Italian partner. We're going to hear it in the speaker here now. This is Gigi Morelli in Italy, in Milan.
Gigi Donelli from Milano. Good afternoon to everybody. My question for Mr. Moraes is concerning immigration. So, as you all know, we had a very long and dramatic season concerning illegal immigration in the southern Italian Sea. We had a lot of debate, and what most was asked by the Italian nation, but not only, I would say Greek and the southern side of Europe, is to have a major involvement from Europe. And so about Frontex, of course, becoming Frontex Plus. My question is, do you think that it's really coming the moment to change our migration policy? And when I say our, of course, I'm saying the European migration policy.
Okay, Claude.
Well, this afternoon we're going to interview Commissioner-designate Avramopoulos, who's the Migration and Home Affairs designated commissioner. And there will be a lot of interest in whether he wants to make changes in this area. The problem in this area, in fact, is not policies. We have so many EU policies on asylum, on trafficking, on what happens in the Mediterranean, on legal migration. In fact, we are even legislating in this area for the EU. The problem is the member states. There's quite a lack of solidarity, burden sharing, coordination, and this doesn't really come from the EU. It comes from individual member states having political pressures within themselves.
Okay.
So this commissioner will have the task of really responding as to whether he's willing to get his hands dirty and to respond to that question.
Okay, on the financial side, we're going to see a lot more discussion in the next few days, and probably some of the more heated debates are going to come up now as well. The German CDU, how coordinated with President-elect Juncker has the CDU been? Have they laid out clear criteria what they want to see in these portfolios?
I think if you speak about the distribution of the portfolios, one question is why that what Mr. Barnier did till now has to be divided to 4 commissioners, so GD Market will be sliced in 4 parts. That's one of the questions, whether that is fruitful or not. The second thing is, as I said, Moscovici, who was as French finance minister opposing the 2-pack and the 6-pack, the new rules of the Stability and Growth Pact, now he has to safeguard it. That's very interesting. And the other thing is that Lord Hill is responsible for banking union and will become responsible for the financial market union, which Jean-Claude Juncker announced in July in the European Parliament. But he is coming from a country who is an opt-out country, never joining the euro. So it's not a pre-in, not an in, it's an opt-out. And whether he can invent rules for the ins or the pre-ins coming from opt-out is an interesting issue as well. And of course we have to bring some light in the darkness of his business relations that I think is on importance as well, especially in financial market regulation. We've been often accused that the industry has direct access to a lot of rules provided by the Commission, and that has to be safeguarded as well, that it is not going to happen.
Do you think we've got 1 minute left here? Do you think you will see a winning team emerge from this, or is this just going to be something which we all settle for in the end? We have a Hungarian candidate coming from a country which its prime minister says it's looking for an illiberal democracy. We have Pierre Moscovici, who presided over the financial decline of France to some extent. Do we want to continue that in the European Commission? So, and then we have the Spanish candidate as well, his oil connections, and the Irish candidate who's in favour of unity over diversity, unless you're putting a Roma family into his constituency. What are we going to get at the end of this, Claude?
Who knows? Who knows? President Juncker has really been somewhat Machiavellian. He has really created something new. I'm optimistic in the sense that we have to make it work for Europe. We really do. The people need a commission that works well. So I want to make it work, but he really has tested us here. So let's see, let's hope for the best.
Markus, do you think that it's going to be different this time?
It will be different, as Juncker's proposal has a lot of check and balances inside the Commission, and that can block everything or even de-block a lot of things which we want to avoid, because the experience of the two Barroso Commissions have been that they've been able to work on every detail but to get lost of the real big things in Europe. And if this Commission is able to concentrate on the big things which have to be solved on a European level and let more freedom member states, regions, local authorities for their ideas, then I think we're on the right track. But whether this check and balances is functioning inside Commission and whether that functions with Parliament and Council in the cooperation, that has to be approved. So I hope it will function.
Okay, final question to both of you. This is a new era for Parliament as well. Claude, do you think that this is a moment where Parliament matures and actually has greater control over the Commission?
Parliament is maturing. We're a legislative parliament, we're a co-decision parliament, meaning that we make laws, and we certainly have the power, and you can see that in the way the Commission corresponds to us. But if Juncker is trying to bypass Parliament, he will have to think again, because Parliament will find a way of making this Commission accountable.
Okay, Markus, same question. Do you think this is a moment of maturity for the Parliament? You've been here 5 times, so...
Absolutely, as it is the first time we have the hearing under the Lisbon Treaty. The last hearing was still on the Nice Treaty. So everyone knows now that without the Parliament nothing is functioning. The new Commission knows it, and the new commissioners, and they are respecting us. And I think if they don't do it only for these 2 weeks when we have the hearings, but for the 5 years, then we are on a good track. If it fails, I can fully agree, then we will have greater problems, and it's up to the Parliament to safeguard citizens' interest here against the administration in Brussels.
Okay.
May I ask last question,
Go
maybe
ahead.
for Mr. Ferber? It's like Oettinger. He had his hearing yesterday, and you were there. You said, and what kind of impression did you have from him? Because his new topic is digital, the whole digital area. Before it was energy. So will he do the digital stuff as good as he did with the energy sector?
I think so, and he made a lot of commitments where he wants to deliver something. So in a 5 minutes slot, question and answer, you can't solve all problems of European Union in a digital world. But he committed himself in a lot of areas where he wants to cooperate with the Parliament on data protection, for example, on developing a new structure of regulation, that we have investments in Europe as well, new technologies where we failed against the United States and China. I think these commitments are the most important things, not the solution of all questions. And so he has a lot of things to do. And therefore I'm very optimistic that he will deliver, and he will do it in a good cooperation with the European Parliament, and that is what we want to achieve.
Thank you. Claude Moraes, thank you for joining us today. Markus Ferber, thank you so much. Lisa Schoninger also, and Gigi Donnelly in Milan also. Thank you for joining us today.